Hey, good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of the Ride Along Radio Show. So jump in the car with us for the next 1 hour shift, as we cover all manner of topics that are hopefully interesting and probably controversial. And we give them to you in our usual straightforward and unvarnished manner. I'm George Holt.
Gil Contreras.
I'm Kent.
And
Kent Lee.
And you'll find that the three of us are police officers. We work as police officers together. We're all former police officers now, former or retired. But we do have the shared experience of having worked together as police officers, and that lends some credibility to some of our informed opinions about some of these topics that we're going to talk about. Usually we start off with news of the day, but then lately we've been doing the follow-up from the last show. Last week's show was disaster preparedness. And, I think we covered a lot of stuff, especially, though, like the financial aspect that a lot of people don't really think about. People are expecting that banking system to be there in the event of a man-made or a natural disaster, and it might not be. Like during Y2K, everybody's worried about the banking system collapsing. It didn't happen, but that was something a lot of people were concerned about. So you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared to move your money around. You got to be prepared to have cash on you at all times, because you swipe to put that gas in the tank and swipe doesn't work, then, stand by, you're going to have problems. So news of the day. We don't really have a news of the day subject today. We were all running around all over the place today. We came from all three corners of Southern California today.
Well, I do want to say that, this just came in on my little feed here. 2 NYPD officers were shot in the Bronx. One suspect is dead. One of the officers was shot in the head. So,
wow. Well, praise to that officer.
The struggle on the streets, trying to keep these streets safe and free from narcotics continues.
Well, it's the war on drugs, right? And that segues into our topic of the day. But we were talking about the O.J. Simpson movie. If anybody's seen that, that's kind of a current event. The 10-part Cuba Gooding.
Yeah, it's a miniseries, for God's sakes. And, I happened to see we DVR'd it, but I watched it last night, and I just thought, man, what a piece of shit.
The particular actor or the whole idea or the whole what?
Well, the way, at least that first episode, first of all, when I hate any show where cops aren't doing things right. So, after Nicole and what's his name?
Ron Goldman. After
they get murdered, they show one officer, going through the house, through Nicole's condo. He's all by himself, and he's running. He's not like,
Wow.
He's walking through real quick, and his gun's moving everywhere, and he had the light and like the barrel's pointing. I was like, what the?
Well, something like that, man. As a technical advisor, I can tell you, number one, they don't always listen to you. And number two, if it gets in the way of entertainment, they don't care. So,
and then, watch or put OJ on the polygraph. And I told Patricia, my boo, we're laying in bed watching. I go, that's not how a polygraph works. You don't talk like that,
Right.
Yes or no questions.
Simple answers.
For God's sakes.
So what's the point of the movie, though? What's the take?
They're trying to tell you the personal stories of all the people involved, not just OJ killed 2 people. So Marsha Clark is going through the divorce. Chris Darden was a little bitch, apparently. He hated working for the DA's office. He loved him some Johnny Cochran, apparently. I was just ridiculous. I just thought it was ridiculous.
Well, they show the Kardashians, or have they not shown them yet?
No, they show. Of course, the
little girls.
They're little though, and the mom, the lady playing Kim or Chris, she has to yell out all 3 names. Kim, Chloe, what's your other one's name? Stop running, because they're running through. I was like, what the. I told him, can we change this now?
And they showed them when they were young.
Let's just hit delete, for a second. But and he's like, the only character that even looked like the original character, and I thought did a pretty good job, was David Schwimmer, who played Kardashian.
Yeah, Robert Kardashian.
Okay,
yeah. But they showed Little Kim, Little Kim Kardashian.
Well, she ran by.
Okay, this is pre-Ray J.
She didn't have no booty.
Okay, not back then. Yeah.
When she ran by, she had no booty. Okay, she was just a kid.
Well, like you said,
she was just a kid. She was just a kid.
Was she running from Ray J? Never mind. All right. So,
and my last thing I just want to say, John Travolta's Bob Shapiro was ridiculous.
That's everything. Every review I've read, everyone I've talked to has pretty much said that.
Every time I see him in a movie, it's ridiculous.
Well, he was good in one.
He was good in Pulp Fiction.
Well, and was that the last one?
Oh, Pulp Fiction? No, that wasn't the last one.
No, he was getting Pulp Fiction. He was getting the one with Sam Jackson about the Rangers.
He was some kind of a
General's
naval
daughter or something like that. Was that General's daughter?
He was in a movie where some kind of a naval commander, and he was some kind
kidding
of
me?
tough guy, and they were doing formation, and he was giving a rough talk speech to these guys, and I'm watching this. This is a joke.
Right, that's always laughable.
How can they cast this guy like this?
Well, he's a Scientologist, so
That what did it?
He voodoos them in. That's the thing.
Okay.
Him and Tom Cruise.
Well, they need to do better then.
They're doing a little bit more than that, aren't they?
Yeah.
All
right. Okay. Well, that's going to have to stand in for our News of the Day segment. That's a good current event. And you know what we can do?
Well, didn't anybody
It's
else
every
watch
week,
it?
though,
Am I
right?
the only one?
I didn't watch it, man.
What about you?
I was at my compound.
That's right. You were at the compound.
No TV signal at the compound.
Yeah.
But this is good because we can get 10 episodes out of this because it's 10 parts,
10,
right?
yeah, it's 10
so
parts
every
here.
week you can come back and give us your review of what a piece of shit
I don't know.
this thing
I don't know
is.
if I can do it for 10.
Well, you know what? I'll start watching it too, so I can chime in. So we can give it 2 thumbs up or 2 snaps in a circle.
Well, look, right now,
whatever,
it's getting down. Okay.
whatever we're gonna do.
and skinny.
and
Yeah, there you go. Right.
And a straight
Roy
guy.
Roper, Ebert and Roper back in the day.
A straight guy can't do snaps up. So.
Well, 2 snaps in a circle. I was gonna let you do it.
I didn't know.
Okay.
No, sir.
All right. So look forward to that. We'll do the review on the OJ crime circus. I remember, we were working during that time, right? 94 is
I
when this
saw
all
him
happened.
go right by us on the 405
Yeah,
freeway.
I was gonna remember that. Yeah, I remember you and
And the Hells,
certain
the Hells
another
Angels,
officer we
it was,
know.
It was OJ, then CHP, then the Hells Angels, and then us. And
The Hells Angels?
We couldn't get it. Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. They were right. They were probably 5 motorcycles, and they were going back and forth trying to get in front of the CHP officer.
Oh, so OJ can get away?
Yeah, I was doing a
Oh, my
zigzag on
God.
the freeway.
Wow, they didn't show that in the movie.
And I saw all the people up on the overpass.
Overpass, holding up signs
with
and
all the
stuff.
signs. Yeah, it was amazing.
Now, I was at work that day when that pursuit went down, and I remember you being silent on the air. And then we found out later why, because you were in the pursuit and weren't supposed to be. Yeah, I remember that.
One of the highway patrolmen was waving at us, "Don't get on the freeway," and I did this. As he drove by, we were in uniform in a patrol car.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that day. I remember that day, man, very clearly. That was that whole thing. What about the whole media circus that followed that? The whole thing was nonsense. Every time you go to criminal courts building, they had the media circus set up outside. Yeah. It got so bad that tour buses were going by the courthouse to see the media circus and point at the building where OJ was on trial inside. And then you couldn't go to the house in Brentwood because that was all blocked off and tour buses going by there, et cetera, et cetera. That was a crazy time, and intern Darren watched. He watched it too, and he said that he didn't think the performances were that bad. But intern Darren wasn't even born.
Does he
when
even
this
know
happened.
who O.J. Simpson is?
He knows him as the criminal. He doesn't know him as a football player.
Oh, okay.
So
Cuba Gooding
so he
Jr.
doesn't know.
His O.J. was like, he could have been anybody.
Wow.
He could have been Little Nuck from the Projects. O.J.
That's O.J. Simpson's from the projects.
Was he?
Yeah, but from the Potrero projects, Potrero Hill
projects.
projects in San Francisco. O.J. was on the project. Was on the
It was
projects.
Oakland.
Orange?
No, San Francisco. Yeah, Potrero Hill's in San Francisco.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay, close enough.
Can we get a fact check on that? Fact, Frida?
All right. We're ready to get into the marijuana.
That's what I thought. Okay, there we go. So, all right, cool. So today our topic is the legalization of marijuana. And if you have any comments on that, as we get through our show and with our special guest who's going to be joining us after the break, you can call in 323-293-3375, or you can send us a tweet at Right Along Radio. So check us out. You can even send us an email to rightalongradioshow@gmail.com. This was a topic that got a lot of pushback on social media when we were doing our social media stuff for this show. We got a lot of comments on Facebook about this. A lot of people saying, yes, it should be legalized. No, it shouldn't be legalized, and giving reasons as to why. Mm-hmm. So I'm expecting that some of you will tweet, if you're watching, if you're still up, that you'll watch and you'll tweet us or you'll call in and speak on it, because there was quite a buzz about this, no pun intended, about this topic on social media today. So what we're going to do is we'll get into our break, and then we'll come back and we'll run our video and introduce our guest, who is a former police officer who is now a medical marijuana advocate. So she actually sees both sides of the coin. It's going to be a very, very interesting discussion, and we do hope you guys will chime in. So we'll be right back.
Hope she brought body armor.
All right. So we're back, and we had some feedback on social media, and we published this topic earlier in the week, and I want to read some of the comments before we do our video here regarding pot legalization. That's actually the title. I don't usually use the word pot,
Weed. Can we call it weed?
Only when you're smoking it.
Oh wow!
Yes, guy.
One of the comments we got was Phil Cartwright says it's always been legal at his house. I was going to ask Phil, exactly where do you live, Phil? Exactly. Dave Winger, a retired cop, says legalize it already. There's more important issues to deal with. Then we got a couple of no's. Yes, absolutely, from Paul Leonardo. He says they've got it backwards. Alcohol should be illegal. DWIs, which is driving while intoxicated. Deaths, broken lives, and livers. Pot equals health benefits, grins, and munchies. So maybe we can talk about that.
You think you can't crash a car when
later.
You're high on marijuana?
Well, I think he's saying it doesn't happen as much. I don't know. I've never arrested anybody for being
not as
driving
fast.
while high.
You're not
as fast.
traveling
Right,
as fast.
there you go. You're not driving as fast.
More like whiskey dings.
It's maybe slow motion.
Well, all the DUIs that I did, they were all combo, alcohol, marijuana.
Right.
They were both.
So
it's a gateway drug, right?
Well, that's somebody says that too, right? So Frank David Bracamonte Jr. says, hey, it's about time. We need the taxes to pay for the real needs of the people. The drug lords are the ones that will be looking for work. And then
all the cops that are smoking off duty then can come out of the closet. Right?
Yeah, I know. We talked about that too on another posting. So Dennis Stackhouse,
the police department have to quit.
Dennis Stackhouse says, no, it's a gateway drug and it is against federal law. End of discussion.
Boom. Schedule 1, baby.
To which Heath Major requires, chill, dude, smoke a fatty. You'll always be open for discussion. One-way streets are no fun. So people had a lot of fun with this topic on social media in the last 5 days. So we ready to roll our tasty bean footage there, producer? Okay. So essentially we've seen pot be legalized in a couple of states. I think it's been decriminalized in like 23 states and fully legal in 2 states. Those states being Colorado and Washington.
Oregon, Alaska.
Oregon completely, like for recreational use and everything?
I think they're backing off on it, so I'm not.
Okay. Speaking
I'm not
to your
gonna say
mic.
for sure.
Because of Colorado, probably, right?
Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Before we get into that, and before I ask our expert opinion, I'm going to introduce our guest. Our guest is Tamara Kimrey, who is a medical marijuana advocate and a retired police officer who actually worked with the 3 of us back in the day in the mean streets of Los Angeles. And so she has a unique perspective because she sees both sides of this, because undoubtedly at some point you had to arrest somebody for marijuana, right?
6 or 5 times, yeah.
Yeah, right. So now looking on, but this is before anybody was really talking about medical marijuana, right?
Before California legalized even the medical form of it.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of California legalizing the medical form and other states legalizing, we're going to roll our footage here, pot legalization, which states are next, and then we'll jump back into our discussion with Tamara Kimrey.
In the 2014 midterm elections, we saw Alaska, Oregon, and D.C. legalize marijuana. Did what happened in Colorado and Washington in 2012 start a trend for Alaska, Oregon, and D.C.? I think it certainly opened the door. What do the politics of 2014 tell us about what we might see in 2016? There are 5 states that are targeted by the Marijuana Policy Project, and this is one of the groups that was instrumental in legalizing marijuana in Colorado. Those 5 states are Arizona, Massachusetts, Maine, California, and Nevada. In the next 2 years, we might also see legislative action in Rhode Island and Vermont. Those are the 2 states that are targeted soonest. Delaware is one, New Hampshire is another, Hawaii, and Maryland. Has making medical marijuana been a sort of a necessary first step toward legalization? It's certainly been a precursor so far. In a lot of ways, it is sort of a toe in the water. It's a way to sort of address some of the problems with complete prohibition. Is it necessary? Maybe, but it certainly so far has been the case.
Okay, and so that was from the Washington Post on which states are next toward the legalization of marijuana. Now, one of the things they said in that video was that they asked if making medical marijuana legal was the first step toward making it legal, period. And the guy responded, yes, it certainly was like a toe in the water. And I think that's what some people are worried about with medical marijuana, with it being legalized, that is the first step toward just kicking the door wide open to having it essentially unregulated and being...
well, it wouldn't be unregulated. It would certainly be regulated.
Right.
Well,
It just wouldn't be illegal.
it wouldn't be illegal. So when we talk about that, what are the regulations like? Okay, so like in Colorado, say that's the one everybody makes the jokes about, Rocky Mountain High, et cetera. So how is it? What's the regulation?
We're looking at Colorado as the first front. They're the ones that took everything off and said, "Let's just do it.
Okay.
Let's see what happens."
So, Tammy, before we get too deep into this, I want to know, just personally, I want to know, what is your involvement in this? How are you? What's your expertise in this? What is exactly you're doing?
Yeah, I'd love to tell you my story because I'm not here as an expert. I'm not professing that I'm an expert in any of this.
You're an advocate.
I'm an advocate.
Sure.
Because when I got hurt in 2005, I went through the workers' comp system. It took the 5 years that it normally takes. And during that 5 years, they did nothing to treat me. They did nothing to cure me, but they threw a whole lot of drugs at me. I had piles and piles of Vicodin and Percocet and Oxycontin and anything I wanted. And all I knew what I was doing was killing my liver.
Right.
Didn't cure my pain, made me not care about my pain.
Even the
but
Percocet?
Didn't care about my pain. I still felt the pain, just didn't care. And when you combine that with the depression of going through the workers' comp and, just being poor, I was broke. I wasn't prepared for this. I'm not George. I wasn't investing my whole life.
Not my whole life, believe me.
But I remember when you started. I was self-medicating with alcohol. And when you combine, I was killing myself. And it reached a point where I almost killed myself. All my electrolytes crashed. I was in the hospital. And I said, something has to change. I was on high blood pressure medication. I was on Celexa for anxiety. I said, something has to change. And I don't know what the switch was. I don't know what made me go, you know what, why not? But something made me go, why not? So I went and got my card, and I went and tried it. I don't smoke it. I can't smoke it. I'm stigmatized. We're of a certain age. We grow up being, you're Spicoli, you're Cheech and Chong.
Right.
You're a loser. So I didn't do it. I got edibles. And I tried them. I brought some for show and tell. And it changed my life.
But what led you to that? Like, how did you say, what made you go, well, maybe I should get some edible marijuana?
I don't know. I don't recall. I don't remember exactly what the switch was.
I mean, was there a doctor that recommended, hey, you should
No,
try?
there wasn't. But I'm going to tell you the funny part of that. I went and got my recommendation. I went to talk to some talking head on a screen, something printed out of a printer, and I was able to go legally buy marijuana.
And that was a consultation with a doctor on that screen?
On a screen.
Okay.
And I was like, this is kind of weird, but okay. Now I go to an actual physical medical office to get my recommendations every year.
A recommendation, so it's not the same as a prescription.
It's
Correct.
No, because they can't prescribe.
Okay.
Right.
You get a recommendation that says you need this.
Okay.
I can show it to you if you want. So I took that and I started experimenting on my own. So then I go to my primary care physician who prescribes my high blood pressure medication and my Celexa, and he goes, wow, your blood pressure is really great. What's going on? Well, Doc, I hate to tell you, but I started using marijuana. He goes, thank God.
Wow.
He did. This is a primary care physician. He worked out of an urgent care. He's not a.
But he can't recommend it probably.
He doesn't issue recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
It's not his field. But he said, let's watch this. So I came in, instead of coming in every 6 months for my prescription refill, I started coming in every month. And he said, I think we can get you off your medications. So with my doctor's not only consent, but complicity, he weaned me off all of my prescription medications. I take one dose, this little tiny thing right here. I take one dose of marijuana in the morning. It controls my blood pressure. It controls my anxiety.
And that's just edible? You just chew it up?
It's a Jolly Rancher.
Oh, wow.
It tastes like a Jolly Rancher.
So I may be jumping ahead just a little bit here, but I can't help it because we're talking about the edible. This stuff has been available, this derivative of some sort, medically prescribed for quite some time.
Since it got legalized.
So what's the big deal about legalizing marijuana to smoke? Why does that have to happen exactly?
Because it's the exact same compound.
Yeah, but why not just prescribe it for people that are in pain? And why does there have to be? Huh?
That's what we're doing. It's just your preference of ingestion.
Okay, all right. So you're here advocating this.
I'm not I'm an advocate for medical marijuana usage.
Okay.
Your method is your choice.
Okay.
This is my
But this is
method.
what works for you. And and that's the thing is like, okay, so I understand that I'm not the average 50-year-old who has a view on marijuana because I was a police officer for so long. But for me, the idea, even though I was retired because of injuries to my hip and my back, and they gave me all the same crap they gave you, the hydrocodone and Mobic, and I've had injections in my back and my hip and all that. The idea of me sitting up toking on a joint is just, man,
You can't do it.
I can't even imagine. I can't begin to imagine that. I just can't picture myself doing it.
Well,
so
that's because you're not part of the, the advocacy of, excuse me, legalizing marijuana to be grown and sold to smoke as a social drug. That's really what the emphasis of this whole thing is, not this. They're using this as a vehicle.
Well, that's what I was going to say. This is where I was going with that, and because to my mind, when people talk about the legalization of marijuana, and we've worked the marijuana festivals before, right? Off duty, done security for these marijuana festivals, Cannabis Cup, etc. To me, I'm sorry, man. It looks to me like it's just an excuse for motherfuckers to get high,
right.
and that's how I look at it, and that's why when I see these kids walking around talking about they got to take their medicine, and this, there's an 18-year-old kid saying his back hurts.
Appalling.
Yeah, it is, and so I look at that and I go, that's not a good idea. So I think that maybe we need to pull Cheech and Chong back a little bit, and Spicoli back, and Wiz Khalifa and Snoop and everybody else who's the public face of marijuana consumption, and talk about it in this form as an herbal remedy and not just somebody trying to get high. Because to me, I can't even picture it, man. I can't picture it.
And with the prescription, probably too. Yes.
Let's clarify.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a prescription for marijuana. You cannot go to any medical professional anywhere, and they're going to say you need 50 milligrams of, super lemon haze
or whatever
every day.
Right.
That's not. You get a recommendation that says you have a condition that requires that marijuana would help you.
I believe oncologists prescribed a form of cannabis in a pill form, have been for a long time for pain control. I'm quite sure of it.
The physicians and the dispensaries must remain separate because
before the dispensaries ever popped up,
that's something I'm not aware of.
The medical industry was prescribing.
Was it like concentrated or something?
Well, it was.
You may be talking about medical trials or something.
No.
Was it in pill form?
Yeah. Right.
Well, remember the treatment for glaucoma and all that, right? They were talking about that for treating glaucoma. They were looking. That was one of the first things they talked about was glaucoma treatment, and that was the thing that was a big joke for everybody. Oh, guys would say, "Oh, I got to go treat my glaucoma," and then they step outside in the alley, right, and blaze up. So, or we'd bust somebody with marijuana, and go, "Damn, you must have glaucoma," and that was the big joke because we were putting the handcuffs on them. But I haven't heard this thing you're talking about with oncologists prescribing. Like a pill form of marijuana. So that's concentrated. Is it like cannabis oil or is it? What is it?
It's a derivative of cannabis that's infused. Cannabis can be fused into alcohol bases and fat bases.
Oh my God, that's double trouble.
Right. Well, I don't know of anybody who does it. But this is infused into some kind of oil, into a super concentrated form, and then it's packaged and it's ready for consumption. It's been lab tested. You know exactly what you're getting. It's been tested not only for efficiency and actual content, but for fungicides, pesticides.
Well, that's what's so huge about that.
Regulation is what advocates want.
Right, because now you're getting a safe product. You remember back in the day, the U.S. government was spraying paraquat on the marijuana fields, right? That was how we were eradicating marijuana fields. Was by use of paraquat. And then smokers, though, would get that paraquat because the drug cartels and the growers, they weren't washing it off.
They don't care.
They just package it up and sell it. And then people were getting all kind of lung maladies because they were ingesting the paraquat as they were smoking the marijuana. And I don't know that even slowed anybody down, which is a damn shame because you would think if people knew this has got poison sprayed on it, that it would slow people down, but it didn't.
They knew, but at a certain point, when you get all Chinese eyes, it just doesn't matter.
They didn't care, right? They didn't care, right?
Hey, Gino.
The fact of the matter is we have a huge portion of our population that seeks impairment for whatever reason.
Seeks impairment. Wow.
They seek impairment.
Sure.
That's why we have an alcohol business. That's why we have a cigarette business. That's why we now have a marijuana business. It's why meth and heroin are still around. People seek impairment.
Right.
But if we can regulate it, control it, make sure it's pure, clean, and you got a safe place to go get it, and take the money out of the cartel's pocket and put it in our economy, why wouldn't we do that?
Well, see, and that's the thing that makes me lean toward what you're saying here, is because I think that we haven't done a really good job of keeping it off the streets, right? And unlike cocaine, it's something you can grow anywhere. Cocaine has to be grown at a certain altitude in certain parts of the world. But marijuana can be grown anywhere. Now, I know there's different strains, et cetera, right? We busted a grow house in Culver City where the guy was growing all kind of like heavy strains, and we got him because before solar power, his light bill was really crazy. And so we took him down there. But that guy, man, you went into his garage, into the bedrooms in his house, and it's like a damn forest in there. Mm-hmm. You can grow it anywhere. You know, it doesn't have to be certain regions, certain altitudes. But that's a tax base that could be used. That is freeing up law enforcement resources rather, that are being spent on this when they could be spent on something else.
Well, it's also indicative of what's happening with our government and our economy and the desire and demand for new tax dollars. That's what's going to drive this more than anything. States want this money.
Definitely.
It's going to override
they're
anything.
being taxed. In Colorado, is like they're doing quite well with this, is my understanding.
Here are the tax. There's January 14 and
Give us
January 15.
a few stats here.
This is the tax revenue in 1 month in Colorado. 1 month.
What's I should have brought my glasses, even though I don't use glasses. Are you kidding me?
Several billion, right?
No, it's 11,590,000.
That's for the month of
489.
1 month.
Yeah, actually, I'm sorry. That's just cash fund transfers. Total all marijuana taxes, licenses, and fees is $11,995,841. So basically $12 million
for the month of January.
For the month of January 2014. That's incredible if you think about what that can do in terms of the funding that can be used for.
And that's one dispensary.
That's 1 month's Colorado sales.
All of Colorado.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I saw some stats that are a lot higher than that.
That's just one
That's
month.
taxes. Isn't that just taxes?
That's just taxes.
That's just taxes. Yeah. They're serving up more than that.
Their
believe me.
gross sales
That's
are
just taxes.
like about $177 million.
I can see that because the taxes
Okay,
No, it's
Colorado hit almost $1 billion in sales last year.
That's where I thought I saw.
Wow.
$1 billion.
$1 billion. That's $1 billion of people who are using it for medical purposes and recreational purposes. The recreational people are outnumbering them.
Definitely.
And they're paying higher taxes for the profit because they want to stay out of the system because they don't want their employer to find out about it.
Right.
So they're willing to pay the higher taxes. But why? I don't understand what the big deal is. How many people do you know popped a Vicodin and went to work because their knee hurt?
Oh, yeah, sure.
They're way more impaired than I can possibly get on my daily medical dose.
That's an opiate anyway.
Right.
Yeah, Vicodin is for
So
sure.
what's the difference? Or they pop a Xanax because they've got anxiety. You're impaired.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go anywhere impaired. I go to work. I don't go to work impaired. I've gone to work hungover.
Yeah, right. And
But I don't get
that
a
wasn't
hangover.
uncommon, especially where we worked back in the day. Hey, if you got any questions, 323-293-3375, or you send us a tweet at Right Along Radio. We got a lot of people talking about this on social media, so I'm hoping you're watching and you'll call in and talk to our guest here today or ask any questions of us. You know, again, there's that stigma. When Colorado legalized this, the cash flow became an issue because you can't take this money and put it in the bank because the marijuana is still illegally federally. So it's illegal federally. So that meant that the banks can't take your money because that bank money is all insured by the federal government, FDIC insured, remember? So there's all this cash, and they had to hire all these security people to sit on the cash. Well, they were talking about off-duty cops working it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of cops were like, man, I'm not doing that. And I saw guys posting on social media, get your head unwrapped around the axle here. This is no longer illegal. So stop thinking of it as I'm protecting these marijuana dealers or these people who are doing something illegal, because per state law, it's no longer illegal. It's just such a change of culture, such a shift. You know, marijuana used to be known as the weed that has roots in hell, right?
Devil weed.
Reefer madness, and all the other stuff. And nobody ever talked about the medical purposes or the medicinal uses of it. It was always Cheech and Chong. It was always, somebody who was using it only to get high, and nobody talked about anything else.
Right. Well, here the other stack of paper. Who just came out? Jim McMahon, one of the greatest football players of all time.
From the Giants, right? Or Bears.
Bears.
He was from the Bears, yeah.
Super Bowl winning Bears players. He was
Right.
taking 100 Percocet a month.
Wow.
Now he smokes weed 3 times a day. When he gets up in the morning to get going, he takes a little leveler during the day, and he takes a little bit to go to sleep at night. He's off 100 Percocet. How that man has a liver after 100 Percocet a month?
He must be flushing out or drinking a whole lot of water or something. I mean, God. But here's the difference too. Okay, so like for me, if it were to become fully legal and regulated, as we talked about, to me, I would like to see a combination between the restrictions that are on alcohol and that are on cigarettes. And here's what I mean by that. Alcohol, you cannot get to your certain age, right? You cannot drink and drive. I think the same thing should be with marijuana. You cannot access it legally till a certain age, and you can't smoke and drive, which is already the law.
Absolutely.
But with cigarettes, same thing. You can't get cigarettes with certain. There's certain places you can't smoke cigarettes, right? And there's certain places you have to be a certain distance away from buildings before you can smoke. Because the thing is,
in communist California.
Well, it should be that way everywhere. If you go to another, go to another state and you ask them about smoking, non-smoking, they're looking at you like you're crazy.
Smoke cigars all day long. Go to New Orleans, smoke cigars all day long.
Yeah.
It's only in communist California.
Well, it's not communist if you think about the reason they passed the law. I mean, they're trying to protect the people who work there who don't smoke. So you got to be subjected to that.
You could probably inch your way along to socialism/communism because that's what the whole theory of communism is about.
It's about not letting people kill other people with secondhand smoke?
Having government take care of you from cradle to grave.
A nanny state.
That's right.
Okay. Well, just like you can't smoke in, like you could sit here, you could have a fifth of Jack Daniels, and you could drink it till you pass out. It will not impact me. But if you're sitting here with a joint and you're smoking it, then that's a contact high issue for me. Not only is it the secondhand smoke part, it's a part of me becoming intoxicated or impaired, and I don't wish to be intoxicated or impaired. So that's why I say you got to have some regulation on it, and you can't just allow people to treat it exactly like it's alcohol or like it's cigarettes because it's slightly different in that form. Now, you could sit there and chew up your Jolly Ranchers, your really Jolly Ranchers, all you want, and it doesn't impact me either.
Exactly.
So that's a little bit different.
Well, some of this stuff does impact you, like the guy laying in the gutter that's drunk because he has to go for medical treatment, probably doesn't have insurance and everything else. We're all impacted by this financially somehow.
Well, we're impacted by alcohol, right?
Right.
But it's offset by the fact that it's taxed, right?
I don't know if the taxation of alcohol covers the bill of what we have to pay.
Alcohol taxes come up with a lot of revenue.
I don't know. I don't know the math on that.
A lot of revenue from alcohol.
But you're impacted one way or the other from all of this.
Colorado medical marijuana, actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to apologize. Marijuana taxes in Colorado exceeded alcohol taxes.
Really?
Last year.
Now, you're talking about in terms
time.
of gross dollars or percentage-wise?
I'm only talking about tax dollars because I haven't read the entire study.
Okay, so they actually made more money on marijuana taxes than did alcohol. Again, and here's the thing. People are doing it anyway. Let's be clear about that. The only thing that we're getting all the negative parts of it, that guy who's passed out in the gutter and doesn't have insurance, but we're not getting the positive parts of it, the tax dollars that would offset the money that needs to be put into the system to deal with that guy. So, I mean, as I see it, we're already dealing with it, and we're getting people killed behind it because people are fighting to control territory. There's whole cartels that are generating all their illicit income behind it. This is prohibition all over again, really. And when I look at all the police resources that are spent on something like this that doesn't really have the same societal impact as even something like alcohol. I've broken up a bunch of bar fights. I've never had to go break up a weed fight.
Nope, not ever. Nope,
right?
Not ever.
I had a guy lay on my car one time and wouldn't get off.
So you might have to kick us out of a buffet, but that's about it.
So therefore, it's not. If we're rolling with alcohol, then why are we not rolling with weed? Is what I'm saying. That's my point.
Because we just schedule one drug. That's why.
Okay.
Okay. So let's change that.
So to change it. Why not change it?
So let's change it.
What's the negative impact is what I'm saying.
Colorado legalized. 2 things happened. Their economy boomed, and the stoner apocalypse did not occur.
Well, it's not a stoner apocalypse, but they have people coming into that state now, transporting it into other states. In fact, there's other states.
That is their huge problem.
That's because it's illegal in those other states.
Right, because they're trying to get it out.
And you know all this stuff.
And Colorado has become the new Mexico. That's the cartel now, is Colorado. So we have a cartel in Colorado, and then we have the cartels in Mexico, but we still have a bunch of weed smokers in America. And
we've always had that. You're going to have that.
And that's right. So
we got a bunch of drunks in America too.
That's right. And if you're driving or walking or causing a problem, you go to jail. It's
if you're driving while you're high, you still go. I mean, I'm not saying
go
that it should be treated like sugar or caffeine, where it's like unregulated and there's no law against it. It should certainly be regulated.
All I'm saying is that if you start deregulating weed, then we want to, like what we've done here in California with Prop 47, and what we've created is there's no incentive to follow the law, and we've become a society that says, hey, if you want to get high, and it's because mostly minorities are doing this, is why we had to change the law, because we somehow think this is tied to the prison industrial complex
let me tell you
mass incarceration. And I just want to finish with this. I went to a CNOA training on medical marijuana and dispensaries to the street a couple months ago, because I have a dope dog, right? And that's what we do. We find dope. And at this training, what we were told is that the medical marijuana community, the people who really need it, sometimes can't even get it.
Because why?
Because they of where they live or the different state laws or whatever, and they don't want to deal with Joe Blow. Hey, give me a dime bag right quick.
Right,
meet
dime
in the
bag
parking lot.
Right.
So, but they said the standard recommendation holding pot smoker in California is a 32-year-old white male, with no job and uses a skateboard as a form of transportation. So I feel for you and your pain, and I'm glad you have the Jolly Rogers that make you happy or that help you control your pain without medication. I'm happy about that. But you're the exception. The rule, especially here in California, the rule is people just want to get high, and you can go right down to Venice Beach and go to the dock and get your little recommendation and walk over to the dispensary over, down
sure,
the
we've
street.
seen that happen, sure.
And
I'd
walk
rather
out
have
with
them
a
there
little
than out in the
container.
jungle getting robbed. People are going to use it. They're going to buy it. Let's regulate it, clean it up, make safe sales, and tax it.
You
really think we're going to get rid of
No,
a lot of crime that may be associated to?
I think we can take out a chunk of it.
I'm wondering, because
we've never eradicated all the crime on anything.
Well, no,
but can we make it better?
There's somebody somewhere making bootleg liquor still.
Yeah.
So you're not going to eradicate that. But, you talk about decriminalization. Back in the day, marijuana was as illegal as heroin and cocaine in terms of it being a felony.
Can I go back to one thing that Gil said real quick?
Okay.
About the whole 32-year-old on a skateboard?
Right.
Every time I go to Weed World, wherever I'm going.
Weed World.
What's that?
Where
Is
is
that like
that?
a Walmart kind of deal?
I've been to...
That's near Wally
I've
World,
been to
apparently.
licensed dispensaries. I've been to unlicensed dispensaries. I've never felt unsafe. But let me tell you this. For every 32-year-old on a skateboard that rolls up, I'm parking next to an S-Class or a 7 Series, and a guy in a suit's getting out, and he's my age.
Right.
And right next to him is a guy on a cane who's in his 60s. It's not happening as much as you think. And that kid
what's not happening as much as you think?
is the stoner on
The slacker or Gilligan.
I don't know. California Narcotics Association bears to differ with that.
Well, but they see
Okay,
one side
but
of it.
again,
She's telling you from her side. though.
We just discussed last week. You can make stats say anything.
Yeah, we did say that. Yeah.
So the point is Gil's using that as the poster boy of who's really
No,
smoking
not me. The CNOA.
CNOA.
Correct.
I spent 20 years of my life.
Well,
doing
let's talk about
ratchet
that. Hold on a
drugs.
second.
Weed smoking is in every pocket of society,
Every strata,
across all
every
races.
strata of society.
In every
It's
country.
everywhere. Go to
in
a
this
law
world.
firm.
Right.
You want to see dope smokers? Go sit with a bunch of attorneys.
Oh, go to off-duty cops.
Yeah.
Now that I haven't seen.
Thank you very much.
That I haven't seen. Not that I haven't heard of it.
I have.
But I haven't seen it.
Thank you
Not that
very
I haven't
much.
heard of it.
We
but
can
let's
talk
talk
about names afterwards.
But we talk about CNOA. May they not have an vested interest in keeping marijuana illegal if that's how we're getting all their funding and et cetera, et cetera? Sure, if you got a dope dog, you want marijuana to be illegal, right? That's better. That's better for business, isn't it? I'm just saying.
They could nip that in the bud by cracking
bud?
down.
Nip it in the
bud? Nip that in the bud.
Nice.
By cracking down on asset forfeiture and the way that's being abused. If you want to take some money out of law enforcement's motivations for doing things.
Well, we're going to take a break. But hey, please call in. and let us know what you think about this. 323-293-3375, or you can send us a tweet at Right Along Radio, and we'll be right back. All right, so welcome back to the Right Along Radio Show, and our topic today is the legalization of marijuana, and we are here with medical marijuana advocate Tamara Kimrey, who's also a retired police officer. So on the break, we were talking about the topical use of marijuana-based substances. Those are like salves or ointments, or what's the deal?
Yeah, like I said, the ones that I use are based with coconut oil, and it's just you just take the marijuana, you infuse it into the oil with
Now
heat.
you do that yourself, or it comes? It's already done like that.
You
in the
can
lab?
purchase it. I make it myself.
So there's a healing property to marijuana.
There's an
a
absolute
topical.
I think
property to
that
it.
everybody agrees that marijuana has some medicinal properties that are useful. That's pretty well known. The smoking of marijuana, though, by so many people who are not injured, and that's the point I was trying to make, and that's the point of the CNOA training, was that, yes, medical marijuana, there's a place for it, and there are people who have benefit from it. However, the majority of the people that are smoking it are not those people. They're people, and it doesn't matter whether
Statistics bear that out.
whether they're wearing a suit or walking with a cane, or riding a skateboard. That doesn't matter.
Back to the skateboard.
They're people who like to smoke weed.
Correct.
And
So
in
let's balance
Colorado,
a budget
Colorado, so pot's legal. However, if your employer decides to drug test you and you don't pass your test, you get fired.
And that will change too, though.
It will have to change, because if they don't do the same thing for alcohol,
The companies will roll over in a minute.
It's going to depend on which state. And I see California trying that.
Yeah.
I can see
well,
that.
and again, we talk about.
But California, New York and California are not America.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the real America. That if you go to the real America, you go, oh wow, it's really not as bad as L.A. and New York City. But so I think that's the point.
You're referring to flyover country.
That's yes.
Those of us, those of us urbanites refer
He's
to
calling
it as.
he's calling it the heartland, though.
The
He's actually
heartland,
got it.
flyover country.
The heartland.
Yeah.
The heartland.
Yeah, it's flyover.
The only
country.
thing saving us, really,
Yeah. Okay.
Praise the Lord.
So with
Lord, pass
Colorado
the
and the
ammo.
surrounding areas,
from Arizona.
it's part of the reason it's a problem, or the only reason it's a problem, where we say there's a cartel in Colorado that's infecting the central time zone. It's
Surrounding states, they're filing suit
in those
against
states. If it was legal in those states, then that problem would dry right up.
Just like that.
Because those states
Just like
don't
that.
want a bunch of weed smokers
They
driving
already
under.
got weed smokers.
That I know.
That's why
and we have
people are
laws
trying
to
smuggle it,
address
because
them.
people want it. Give the people what they want, just like
We
alcohol.
can't-
Do we have
that-
problems with alcohol?
That
Absolutely.
can't be the
Absolutely.
America.
So
that
what?
can't be the America we live in. It just can't be.
But again, I was saying this before.
It can't be
but
that
people
all of a
said this
sudden we all
before.
want to smoke weed.
Well, but
They
how is that different than
already
somebody
are,
drinking
Gil.
alcohol to
No, not.
excess?
Yeah,
How is it
they
different?
are.
And I'm not.
And I'm not, you know what?
And-
I don't care if it's
I can-
legal or not. I'm not going to do it because it's not how I
So
get down.
let's-
But it doesn't mean that people shouldn't have the ability to do that if it's going to
Let's
help
talk
them.
about the downside of pot smoking, and the mental issues that it causes,
I think we've
especially
discussed
with
that
youth.
for 30 years.
Right. Well, no.
Can we talk about?
Well,
some
no, I mean
positive
with the
stuff?
new strands of marijuana and the potency, it supposedly is 10 times stronger.
Oh,
than
yeah,
when
because
we were in school.
it's been manipulated to
And-
Right.
give off a much higher THC content.
And all of this, will trickle down even larger, even bigger into the adolescent or juvenile community, and they're going to be smoking it more
It's
and
already
more
been
and
proven
more.
that it has.
It's okay.
It hasn't happened in Colorado.
But it's what it does. The permanent damage
where's
that it
intern
does to the
Darren?
brain is
Intern
incredible. They
Darren.
talk about it like it's
Light up, brother.
like it's a harmless
Just
drug.
light up.
And man,
Go
it's
ahead.
not. Not even
I don't
close
think
to it.
anybody said it's harmless. To me, again, I look at it as not much different than I look at alcohol, honestly. But now I was making a point earlier about the decriminalization of marijuana. Marijuana used to be a felony. If you got caught with marijuana, you went to the penitentiary.
Boom.
Just like you did if you had cocaine or heroin, any amount.
You got to call it heroin.
Or heroin, right? That's how I used to call them when I was selling dope undercover. Heroin. So anyway, but with marijuana, it was decriminalized down to being a misdemeanor. And you're talking about they're trying to do this because of mass incarceration of minorities, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
The reason they knocked it back down, I think it was in the early 70s, is because a lot of your white college kids were getting popped for marijuana. They were having felony arrests. They were going to prison, and they couldn't get those jobs when they got out of college. And so they decriminalized it down to a misdemeanor. And a lot of people benefited from that who weren't in that position.
Yeah,
but that's why they knocked it down, because it got
I don't know
to
if
be
it
so
was
prevalent.
the 70s.
I think it was like 71 or 72 or something like that.
In the 70s, it was still a felony for
Yeah,
a good
and
part
it
of
was
the 70s.
80 something.
Was it?
where
No.
Yeah.
It got down to less than an ounce. You were cool.
Yeah.
And
I know it was before I came on the job.
it,
for sure.
it has to do with the amount of weed that you're carrying.
And if it's packaged for sale, et cetera.
And so, the other thing that the CNOA training said is that a lot of dope dealers now are getting these recommendations, these doctor recommendations, and then buying their legal weed and then selling it illegally. They're not smoking. They're buying it.
Why would they need to do that, though?
And then they're reselling it because they got different strains. They can get different strains, different names.
But how
cool
come people
names.
just can't just go to the? Why won't people just go to the?
Because
dispensary?
not everybody has a 215 card.
Right.
And everybody doesn't want to maybe get in the system with the 215 card.
And now
et
you've
cetera.
got ready dealers coming out of the dispensaries all the time who have large quantities. That
And you
just
can have a
start
large
selling.
quantity, all right? What's the max?
no,
you
you
can get a large
can't.
quantity at the
Huh?
dispensary,
No,
right?
You can't what?
No, yes, you, but you no. No, you
I'm saying,
can't. You
but
can't
people
have. No, you can't
sell it
have.
with a card.
There
Can't you
is
get a large
a
quantity.
there
is a legal quantity.
There is a quantity, but it's not that much. And
It's a lot.
It is. It really is.
It's a lot.
Actually, it isn't that much.
You can't leave with kilos, but in terms of what it breaks down to sell.
And at the CNOA training, they were telling these officers
Let
who
me
are
know when
who
you
are
want me to say something.
who are still enforcing narcotics laws that if you stop somebody and they have over the limit what they're supposed to have, and it really isn't that much, and they pull out the letter, they're thinking, hey, I got a get out of jail free card, brother. I'm sick.
Right.
I got medical marijuana. You can't do nothing. A lot of cops are so dumb. They see this thing and they go, oh, shit, well, wait a second. Can we do this? And they end up letting them go. That was the whole point of the training, is that just because they have this piece of paper doesn't mean anything. They're very limited in the amount that they can carry around and transport. And they have to be leaving their dispensary, and they better have a dang receipt.
Right.
So what's the amount then?
Okay, here's the way it actually works for those of us on the other side now.
Okay.
You can carry up to 8 ounces legally.
Bam. I knew it was a larger amount than before.
In any form. In any form.
So it can be leaf. It can be.
It can be any of this stuff.
Wow.
Okay,
8 ounces is half a pound.
That's a lot.
That's half a pound. That's a lot.
Yeah, I'm
need
just
a dog to detect
just
that.
telling you.
Can they make it in a suppository form for Gil?
I'm just
They
telling
do.
you.
They just came out.
Most
came out
easily
in the
absorbed
suppository.
spot, right?
I'm just
They do.
telling
They
you
just came out.
that the arrests that they're making, these guys are carrying way more than that. And because
Way more than 8 ounces. Okay,
Yes.
I can see that.
And because they have this thing, they believe it's a get out of jail free card. And because most cops aren't up on the law about this, they believe also falsely that if you have one of these things, like, oh shit, well, we can't really do anything to them. And that was the point of the CNOA training, was to say, hey, until they make it legal here in California, which actually may happen in 2016, but until that happens, it's still a Schedule I drug. It's still illegal. And if it's 8 ounces, I'm just going to agree, because I don't remember what they said it was, but that sounds right. If they have over that, even if they pull this out, they're good to go, hook and book.
Okay, yeah, and again, that's half a pound. Half a pound of weed is, that's quite a bit. Yeah, that's quite a bit, and I can imagine that you're gonna have a hard time.
You got to be sick, boy. You
got to be like last leg sick.
Lord Jesus.
Yeah, circling the drain sick, right? But again, I think that we're missing out on a lot of tax revenue that could be used to do a lot of other things. Maybe we take that tax revenue and we put it into fighting these harder drugs that are out there and actually destroying people's lives, and remove that from the equation. Because you're seeing people, organized crime. This is fueling organized crime. You saw the thing where they would bring all the weed across the border disguised as carrots.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a couple of 100 pounds of marijuana disguised as carrots in the back of a truck. Mixed in with real carrots, of course, to throw the dogs off the scent, but the dogs picked up on it. And those are cartels sending that money up here, and they're killing people over that money. And that's a way to knock some of the legs out from under that cartel there, is you legalize a very large percentage of it. But let me tell you something. Don't think that people fighting against this, if I'm what's his name, El Chapo, right? I'm going to be fighting against that, just like Las Vegas fought against us getting Indian casinos here in California, right?
You know who's going to fight at George is Big Pharma.
Oh, definitely.
That's who's fighting.
Them and the cartels are going to be on the same sheet of music about fighting to get that, because now look at what you're not taking anymore.
Right.
Look at all the pharmaceuticals you are no longer
You
taking.
cannot watch TV or listen to the radio without hearing the new commercial for the new drug that treats OIC, opioid-induced constipation. You take so
Oh, yeah, I
many
just
drugs
heard about that. I just
you
heard about
can't
it on the radio
poop.
the other day. Sure. Because everybody's taking all these
Right.
opiates.
They don't
Sure.
create cures. They create customers.
I had that
Suppository.
once.
It's suppository.
Yeah, no, that's a real thing, too.
They create customers. They don't create cures. That's their niche. This stuff cures.
And they're making money off of keeping you sick, basically.
They're making money off of keeping you sick.
Sure.
If my dispensary never saw me again, they couldn't care less. Godspeed. Have a great life.
Well, they're going to make money regardless because people are going to come in. That's the other reason is people are not just coming because they're ill. They're coming for recreational
Right.
purposes, too. And again,
You want me to tell
people
you I don't
consume
use it
alcohol
both
for
ways?
recreational. It was
use
W.C.
it both
Fields.
ways.
W.C. Fields used to joke that it was strictly for medicinal purposes, right?
Right.
But alcohol truly doesn't have much medicinal purpose. Alcohol is recreational.
It's a painkiller.
Oh, it is.
It's a
Sure.
painkiller.
It's a good
It is a
one, too.
painkiller.
Right.
But I'm saying
Till
that
it brings it
Resistant
right
depressant.
back tenfold.
But it's typically, though, it's typically a recreational thing, right? When we all would get together after work in the parking lot of the police station,
Wow.
we wouldn't say, hey, pass me some of that painkiller.
Where'd that come from?
And,
Right.
and then you drove
Caused
home.
all that.
Well, you know what? I didn't drink back then. I didn't start drinking until I was 30 years old. So, I was
What?
never. Yeah, I
a
didn't drink
rapper
till I was
that didn't
30.
drink?
I didn't.
Get the
I didn't drink till I was 30 years old. And I was already a sergeant by then. See, subordinates, man, they drove me to drink. But we would sit around, and I've seen guys pass around 25-year-old bottles of Chivas Regal in the parking lot of the station. I think, you guys know. I think you guys were there then that I'm talking about, where things went a little too far. But nobody was saying, "Hey, pass me some of that painkiller." We weren't there for that. It was a social thing, right? Or somebody would be breaking the carne asada. Gato, rest in peace. God
Gato.
rest his soul. Gato would be out there making that wonderful carne asada, and him and Uncle Al would be knocking it out right from the tequila bottle, man. And that wasn't anything but a social thing, okay?
That
And
was stress management. That's what that was.
well, that was stress management. Sure, it was. It was certainly stress management.
Right.
It really was. It really was.
But let me tell you the difference real quick. Do you want to finish?
No, I'm just saying that. So alcohol is definitely 99% of its usage is social. So I don't know why it's an issue for marijuana to have even half or even 75% of its usage being social, or being for recreational. Not social, but recreational.
But the fact of the matter is that social or problem alcohol use sends millions of people to the hospital and the morgue every year.
Every year in jail.
Okay.
In jail.
Let's not even go to jail because we'll be here all night long.
Yeah.
Marijuana's never killed a single person unless it's in conjunction with something else.
Well, I'm thinking about like people smoking and lung cancer, et cetera, right?
They
there
claim.
hasn't
But,
even been
you
a
know,
correlation
They
with
claim, yeah. That's what
Okay,
they-
Really?
that's
and
what
I'm
they
not-
claim.
How can you
That's-
smoke something? Okay, well, whatever.
that. They're saying that
But
it
nobody's
offsets
ever
the-
overdosed on marijuana, is your point.
That's my point. So look at
I don't think so. I think people sometimes have reactions from smoking marijuana, especially one of the first times that they smoke it. There have been some articles where somebody has smoked it and
or they had psychoses or
they
something.
had to go to the hospital.
Talking
It
about
was-
dying
it was-
though. Nobody's ever overdosed like death overdose. Like
I think you need to do a little research on that. I
I've
think
done
that
a lot. Go ahead and look
okay.
it up and call me wrong.
Okay. Well,
I'll wait for
the next
I'll
show.
wait for
You
the
won't
email.
be here, and I'll tell you.
Okay.
Tamara
That's fine.
doesn't know what she's talking about.
And I will call in and apologize.
or call in
But
and
it's-
check him, right? If
it's
he's wrong.
it has never happened.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a common theme that you see, a common assertion made, and I haven't seen anybody refute it yet. That on this date, Gilligan on his skateboard he overdosed on marijuana, and it didn't make it.
But
So
they've proven that it would literally, if you tried to overdose smoking marijuana, the carbon monoxide buildup in your blood would kill you long before the marijuana had a chance.
wow.
Because you'd have to smoke literally somewhere between 1,500 and 2,500 joints.
what?
One after the other, after the other, after carbon monoxide
You
would kill you.
couldn't even stay awake
You
that long.
can't do it.
Yeah, you couldn't even stay awake long
Edibles,
to do that.
I do think there's a chance. I think you possibly could. And that is my personal opinion based on absolutely nothing. I've asked no medical professionals. But I think that if you took 10 or 12 or 14 bottles of this stuff, you could probably really hurt yourself.
Wow.
So I think there's a potential for it in this form.
Well, it's concentrated though, right?
It's not concentrated. It's about 35 milligrams a pill.
Can you
And I
take
can't read
one
it
out
in
of
the
there?
book.
Can we give one to George?
Count them
and
before you take them out, because we make sure they all get back in there.
Right? Where's my evidence
I
tag?
always feel like I'm stoned anyway. I don't need that.
Oh wow, it's like a little. Can you hold that up like
Yeah.
just like a little tiny
It's just a little
like
tiny.
a Tic Tac?
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost. And this
Can you just try one right quick? I just want
You
to
put that under my tongue.
Yeah, we'll just watch for objective signs and symptoms of intoxication.
and these things don't. I mean, I would have to take, if I wanted to use it recreationally, if I was going to go to the Super Bowl, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to drink.
You're
I'm
going to
gonna
play in
get
the
high.
Super Bowl. Yeah.
No, here's the deal. I'm going to go to a Super Bowl.
And nobody will cheer.
Right.
Just sitting there.
Woo.
Well, watch that.
Well, it's Carolina and Denver. I'm not cheering anyway. So what difference does it make?
Well, we talk about extending our show, and this is a topic we could easily carry to 2 hours. And I think we should probably revisit this. And when it gets on the ballot in 2016, next to Donald Trump's name, yeah, okay.
We'll do a show
then we'll
about
have you
that,
come
too.
back
Well, yeah, I
and
guess
talk
you'll have
about
to
it at
do- you'll
that
have to
point.
do it from the Bahamas. So.
Right. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
No, his name would be on the ballot.
Sure.
His name would just be on the ballot. So
He's not leaving until inauguration.
yeah,
okay.
election. I'll be done.
I'm going to write it in.
If he gets inaugurated, I'll be phoning you guys I'll be phoning it in from Paradise Island. So anyway,
Doing it from there, I want a lot of guest shots.
hey, thank you for coming out and joining us, Tammy Jo, and we appreciate you coming out and offering your informed perspective. In terms of our show, you can like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram at Ride Along Radio Show, or follow us on Twitter at Ride Along Radio. And until next week, I'm George Holt.
I'm not.
You've got some social media stuff to give out too.
No, I'm Gil Contreras. But my Twitter is not right along. It's at XCOP 1035. If you want to tweet me directly, if you have a comment to make to me directly, yeah.
All right. So.
And I'm Kent, and don't send me anything because I'm not going to read it.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week here on the Morris Media Network on the Ride Along Radio Show.
Can I get a Jolly Roger?